Hello, my name is Jennifer Hancock, and this video is a response to Jewels Logan's I Just Don't Get Evolution posting. And it's not surprising he doesn't get evolution, because what he thinks he knows about evolution is wrong. And we come across this a lot. I've had a lot of friends tell me that they don't get evolution, and when they tell me what they think evolution is, I'm not surprised that it doesn't make any sense to them, because it doesn't make any sense to me either. And that's because what they think they know just isn't so. And I think what happens is people listen to a lot of people who don't believe in evolution, and they think that what these people are telling them is true, but it's not. My advice to anybody who doesn't get evolution is to stop listening to people who say evolution doesn't make sense and start trying to get some information on what evolution actually is about. Because until you do that, you're going to remain confused as to why anyone would believe in evolution, because what you've been told is just complete nonsense. His first question that he asks is, when did evolution stop being a theory and start being a fact? Well, it's always been a fact. The theory of evolution isn't a theory about whether evolution occurs. The theory of evolution is about how evolution occurs. Evolution occurs, just like gravity. It's the same thing like gravity. Gravity is a fact. We can observe it. We can't really manipulate gravity yet, but we can observe it, so we know it's a fact. The theory of gravity is an attempt to explain the mechanics of gravity. Likewise, the theory of evolution is an attempt to explain the mechanics of how things evolve. Not whether they evolve, but how they evolve. Evolution is a fact because it occurs. And at this point, we know a whole lot more about evolution than we do about gravity. We can manipulate it. It does exist. When did we decide that evolution is a fact? Well before Julius or I was born. So he did in fact miss it. He asked, did I miss it? And the answer is yes, you missed it. It occurred over 100 years ago that we realized for real, we can observe it, we can manipulate it, this is really happening. Evolution occurs. Evolution is fact. The theory of evolution is a whole different other animal, like I said, about the mechanics of how it occurs, not whether it occurs. Humans did not evolve from monkeys. And yes, he's right, it doesn't make a lot of sense. A monkey did not suddenly give birth to a human. Evolution doesn't work that way. The mechanics of how things evolve, or organisms evolve, is really, all it takes is sex and time. Have enough sex over enough period of time, and an organism will evolve into something else. That's just how it works. The alternative is to posit something that can't be observed and has no proof, i.e. an intelligent designer or creator. Doesn't mean that a creator doesn't exist, but we can't observe it, can't see it. The simpler explanation really is sex and time. So Occam's razor applies. Evolution is the better explanation. The other mistake, one of the other mistakes Mr. Logan makes in his explanation of why he doesn't understand evolution is he seems to treat evolution like a ladder, like humans are a superior species to a monkey. And evolution doesn't say that. We're cousins. It's like saying one leaf on a tree is better than all the other leaves on the tree. And evolution is a tree, it's not a ladder. We are not evolving into some superior form. There is no, it's just more adaptable, better adapted to whatever your environment is. That's what evolution does. It creates species and organisms that are well adapted to their environment. Not that they're superior to other ones, because bats are certainly superior to humans at flying in the dark. Humans can't do that very well. In fact, we can't fly at all without aids. But bats can do that extremely well, and it's because they've evolved to do so. It's not that they're better than humans, or humans are worse. We're just different species evolved to do different things. He asks another question about, how do we know what happened 65 million years ago? and says no one was around to write it down. So we can't know something if someone wasn't around to write it down. And the answer to this is radioactive dating. Different molecules decay at different rates, and these rates are surprisingly constant. So if you can, it turns out we can figure out how fast something is decaying or how old it is by how fast, say, its plutonium or its carbon has decayed. And that's how we know how old things are, is we date them using these radioactive decay formulas, and the rates of decay amongst these these atoms are extremely constant, so we can tell how old something is based on how much decay has occurred within the molecules themselves. So that's how we know how a rock is 65 million years old. It's again something, if you don't understand the science behind it, then yeah, how can you make sense of it? But the reality is, this is a very good method of dating things, and it's very, very reliable. And if you do any bit of research onto the subject at all, you'll find that, oh yeah, this does make sense, and you know, what I was told about it doesn't make sense because what I was told about it was wrong. Find out if something doesn't make sense to you in science, and someone's saying to you it doesn't make sense, so you shouldn't believe it. Don't believe them. Go find out what the real story is. Because if you continue believing what people tell you and what people are telling you is nonsense, then of course you're going to come away and say, this doesn't make any sense to me. I would too. The last thing that Julius mentions is, you know, how come squirrels haven't evolved spirituality? And I'm not sure why he brings this up, but my question back to him is, how do you know squirrels aren't spiritual? You know, have you asked one lately? We know that an amazing number of animals, birds, all sorts of mammals, engage in superstitious behavior. Not just humans. Humans aren't the only species that are superstitious. All across the animal world, there is superstitious behavior observed in animals. And if they can be superstitious, there's nothing to say that they can't also be spiritual. We just don't know because we have no way to ask a squirrel to tell us what it is they believe and don't believe about the world around them. All we can do is observe their behavior. But to say that a squirrel has never become spiritual and doesn't worship the oak tree in which they live is, I don't think you can say that, because you don't know. You have no way to know whether they do or not. When it comes to what makes humans unique from our animal cousins, our mammal cousins, what we have been learning over the past 25 years in this very field is that what we thought made us unique isn't unique at all. And superstitious behavior is just one of those things. It turns out there's a wide range of linguistic capabilities across the animal spectrum. The problem has been that a lot of what we know about human consciousness is self-reported, and we don't have a way for dolphins or seals or dogs or cats or squirrels to self-report to us what it is they do and do not believe. So I think the question, are squirrels spiritual, or why aren't squirrels spiritual, is just wrong to begin with, because we don't know that they aren't. So again, it's not just you. What you apparently think evolution is about isn't what evolution is about. And I would suggest that you go out and find out from a scientist what evolution is about before you decide whether or not you believe evolution occurs or doesn't. Because I can tell you right now, everything you put forth in your video was just incorrect. It wasn't even true. So best of luck, and I hope this helps. Bye-bye.